Everyone thinks the bigger the shield, the better. But it's not about the size. It's about how you use it. In real life, sometimes you need to storm bus or a train, and using the Vant-vm or the VR6 might not be the best option. That's when you remember the small shields. You probably know the Vant-vm. Maybe you've even seen it at your Airsoft game, but nobody knows about its little brother, the VANT-LM. And that's a shame, because the shield is really interesting. Small shields in Airsoft, unless it's a riot shield, aren't very popular. That's because people still think bigger means better. But that's not true. This shield weighs only 3 kilos. It protects my body and keeps me mobile. I can use any weapon with it and not get tired during a game. It's perfect for Airsoft. 7 months ago I made a video on how to craft a Vant-vm shield for Airsoft, and today I'll show you how to make a mini version of it, Vant-LM, what materials I used, the problems I faced, the blueprints, my experience, and of course, how much it costs. All the time codes are available below. Let's craft it. I was really upset. What if I made a shield I could always shoot from? Shield equals cheat?
Shield players shouldn't use guns!
So to be honest, I still had some problems with them later. I wanted to make it really cheap. I tried glued everything. This shield is cheap. But why did I decide to make a small shield? It all comes down to the rules. On the fields I play, I can't properly use a weapon with a shield. I explained it more detail in this video. But in short, the shield is treated like regular cover, which means I'm required to show my head when shooting, otherwise it's considered Somali style shooting, even though my legs and arms are clearly visible behind the shield. Shield don't fully protect me. This isn't some sci-fi shield from Star Wars. I can still get hit and taken out. Also, I don't have a car, so getting to the field was a real challenge. I had to bring the Vant-vm, aprons of different sizes, my sidearm, and even my main gun, in case the organizers suddenly decide to ban shields. They actually can. Plus all my other gear. So there I was, carrying over 20 kilograms of equipment, taking 2 hours by bus just to get to the game field. Of course, there were still a few kilometers to walk. I played for 5 hours and then spent another 2 hours getting home. Just imagine what my back felt after that. Guys, now I'm walking onto the game and I'm also have a shield, and it's so light, it's so easy, it just... I'm not feeling like tired. Like you can see that sometimes the road isn't ideal. On top of all that, I needed a team to play effectively with a shield. I got tired quickly, and overall, it wasn't effective. Without the shield, I actually got more kills than with it. That's when I had an idea. What if I made a shield I could always shoot from, since my head would always stay visible? The shield also had to be light and cheap. I wanted to make it really cheap. And of course, it had to look awesome. I chose the Vant-LM. It's a small, lesser-known Russian ballistic shield, which produced by a company Ford Technology, or Ford Technologia in Russian. An interesting fact, they also produce the Vant-vm. I'll talk more about pros and cons and my experience at the end of the video. But now, let's start building it. Let's start with the blueprint. There's way less info out there about the Vant-LM compared to the Vant-vm, and almost no video content. I wanted it to look as close to the real thing as possible, so I started searching for reference images. I even dug through Russian forums to find high quality pictures. In the end, I collected over 50 photos and saved them in a Google Drive folder. You'll also find blueprints and reference image there. All the links are below the video. I started with a blueprint. It might seem simple, but due to the quality of the photos, the exact dimensions were unclear. I based it on a blueprint I found online. The problem was, it didn't show the bolts holes or give measurements for the handles and other parts. I had to figure those out of my own. It's important to mention that all my measurements on my blueprint are based on the center line. So first you draw a center line and then sketch everything else from it. That approach made it easier for me. The hardest part was figuring out how wide the shield actually is. My homemade Vant-vm looked thinner than the real one, even thought I built it according to the blueprint. This time I really wanted to get the thickness right. Luckily, I found this photo showing the shield clearly from the side.
Oh my god, is it a horrible Vant-vm replica made from a piece of plywood? Now, people using plywood instead of a proper shield in Airsoft are actually cosplaying as the Russian Special Forces?
In the end, I was able to figure out the correct dimensions for the shield and the apron. I thought just as I finished the blueprint, I found another one online, much more detailed and even showing some bolt positions. I can say that our dimensions are very similar, but not exactly the same. For example, the apron on my version is shorter, and I think mine is actually more realistic, because it can do this.
Okay guys, let's start to build a shield. This is MDF, 9mm. Here you can see this. Also you probably see what's the type of material somewhere here, probably. And how much it costs also probably here or here, I don't know. Somewhere you see it.
To make the shield both wide and lightweight, I used a 9mm MDF sheet and 4 yoga mats, each 10mm thick. In the end, the total thickness was around 50mm. For the base, I used 9mm MDF. Once it was cut, I drilled the mounting holes for the bolts. Then I glued it to a yoga mat using PVA glue and super glue. Since the yoga mat is soft, the handles can wobble a bit, so I replaced the soft material with solid wood at the handle contact points. I glued another mat to the back. Unlike the Vant-vm, the bolts on the Vant-LM are only visible from one side. All the DIY shields I've seen just run the bolts all the way through, so they're visible on the front. And that looks awful. So I decided to hide the bolts inside the shield. It's harder to pull off, but it looks way better. If the bolts aren't fixed tightly inside, they will just spin, and I won't be able to tighten the nuts. I checked every bolt and placed them in. Then I secured them further with a lot of hot glue to keep them from turning. So to be honest, I still had some problems with them later. Next, I attached 2 more yoga mats to the front. In real life, the shield is that thick because it has to stop bullets. It has a level 5 protection rating, the same as the Vant-vm, and can stop even an SVD round. But because of that, the real shield weighs 14 kilograms. For comparison, the Vant-vm weighs 24 kilograms. The Vant-LM has a protection area of 28 square decimeters, which is 66% of the Vant-vm's area. The base of the shield is ready. Next step, covering it with fabric. And here's where the problem started. In real life, shields usually have a custom-made fabric cover. But I don't know how to sew, and ordering a custom cover would be way too expensive. I could try wrapping it in fabric, like I did with the Vant-vm, but that one had 2 plates that sandwiched the fabric ends. This one doesn't. There is nowhere to hide the edges. So I went with a third option, the same way I wrapped the apron on the Vant-vm, by splitting the fabric into 3 parts and covering the front, back and sides separately. It should have been easy and looked good. But in practice... I started with the sides. I cut a strip of 600D cordura and glued it around the edges with a super glue. It could also use canvas or any other strong fabric. Then I folded the edges over and glued them down too. Also, my cordura has a rubber coating to make it water resistant. That helped a lot with the gluing. Now for the front. First I traced the shape of the front panel and added some extra margin. I cut out the piece, Let's call it the curtain, since it means to cover the red circle when needed. I made it a few centimeters longer than needed, you'll see why soon. Then I cut a hole for the small handle at the top. I cut out the area, threaded it taut and glued the fabric from the side. Then I folded it in a half. I glued it together, but not all the way, leaving those extra few centimeters at the bottom unglued. Then I attached Velcro on the both sides. And that's where the problems began. Instead of having the Velcro sewn on by someone with a sewing machine, I tried glued everything. The parts and the Velcro with super glue. And that was a questionable decision. On my previous Vant-vm build, the Apron's Velcro was also attached with super glue, and I never had any issues with it. It held solid and never came off, so I thought I could try the same thing again this time. In theory, it would save me a lot of time, but using regular super glue would be way too expensive. Also, if the glue touched the fabric side of the cordura, it leaves a black stain. And yep, I split some. It also left those typical white marks on the Velcro after drying, so I started looking for a better alternative. I tried all kinds of glues. In the end, I settled on contact glue in gel form. Right now you can see a comparison with super glue.
Okay, this one is gel glue, this one super glue, and now you can see how strong this glue is. Okay, I can, but pretty well. Here not super hard, but as you can see it broke with yoga mat, so the glue itself is stronger than yoga mat itself. So yeah, not a bad result. Super glue one. First this. Oh, easy. Even the gel glue was stronger, I think. Same. Broke not glue, broke yoga mat.
Both hold pretty well, but for the same price you get more gel glue. Still, there are some downsides. This glue takes 30 hours to fully cure, so every time I glued something I had to wait. Even after it's set, the glue stays visible. And I thought not by much, its hold is still weaker than super glue. As a result, the total build time for the shield increased a lot, and the overall quality was worse compared to if I had just taken all the parts to sewing services. The total cost of the glue for the entire shield ended up being about the same, so honestly, just cut all the parts and take them to sewing services. You'll save your time and energy. Here I'm gluing with a super glue, but it left white marks on the Velcro, so later I decided to replace it. Next I'm making a hole in the main part. I insert the curtain inside, unfold a few centimeters that aren't glued, and attach them at the top and bottom. This way the curtain is fixed securely and can move up and down. Then I attached the Velcro to hold the curtain in a fixed position. I use the same soft side of the Velcro, so I can stick patches on it later, right on the front of the shield. I cut it out and glued it on. On the front of the real shield there's a red circle. In reality, it's probably made of some kind of flexible plastic, but here I decided to use a red 600D cordura. I use the gel glue. The purpose of the red circle is to draw attention. In panic, people act incidentally, so it matters what they see first. The red circle is the most noticeable part, so they'll most likely shoot at it.
And this tactic works. If you look at my shield, you've seen a lot of hits around the circle.
I forgot to spread the glue properly, and the red circle looked terrible. I decided to replace it with a new one. This time I was ready. Perfect. I also decided to replace a Velcro, so it would look better. Since this glue tends to leak, I first masked the edges with tape and only then applied the glue and pressed it down. The front panel is done. I apply the glue and attach it to the base. Now I begin working on the back part. I cut it a few centimeters larger and fold the edges inward before gluing them. And now comes another tricky deal. I spent a long time trying to figure out how the apron attached to the shield. In the video you can see it's mounted on the back, but how exactly? We can see Velcro on both the front and back sides of the apron, but attaching it that way doesn't make much sense. Also, the attachment is clearly different from the Vant-vm. Eventually, I realized that the Velcro on the apron is probably for an additional plate pouch. I'm not completely sure about this. The apron itself attached to the shield using a special connector piece on the back. Because of this, I started building the connector. It's made of two parts, and to make them, I cut out a much larger piece. After folding, I'm left with an extra centimeters. I glue the pieces in a way that creates two sections. I leave a few extra centimeters at the edge, just like I did with the curtain. Then I attach the Velcro. In the back panel, I cut out a hole and insert the connector piece. The unglued edge I fold over and glue down from the back to fold everything in place. Now I can attach the apron to it. It will stay flexible, which is important for a small and mobile shield. The back part is almost finished, I just need to attach it. But before that I decide to check the bolts one more time. One of the nuts stopped threading onto the bolt. I tried everything. I used WD-40, tried different nuts, applied pressure, used different solvents. Nothing worked. I was really upset, but I had already done too much to give up, so I decided to perform a full bolt extraction and replacement operation. I had to peel back the rear panel and cut through the foam padding. Getting the bolt out was tough, but I finally replaced it with a new one and flued everything with a ton of hot glue. Then I calmly reattach the back panel to the base. Now all that's left is to make the handles, the hand straps and the apron. You can make the handles out of wood. I showed how to do that in the Vant-vm building video. You can also try making them from a polycarbonate. I showed how to work with it in that video. But if you don't want to waste time, just go to a hardware store and buy bath handles. Yes, they might look like you stole them from an old countryside toilet, but honestly, this is probably the most practical option. But we are going with high tech. I recently bought myself a 3D printer and I've already printed suppressors, barrels and even kit that turns IAP Glock into a 30mm, so I decided to print the handles too. I modeled them based on my own blueprint. There's a fully solid version and one made of 3 separate parts that need to be assembled. The solid one needs supports. With supports the surface quality won't be great, but the handles come out ready to use with no extra steps. If you want a perfect finish, I recommend printing the 3-part version. To assemble it, you need to print parts 1, 2 and 3 and put them together using M5 bolts. You can find those in any hardware store.
But what if they break? I printed mine using PETG filament at 60% infill. They have internal supports, so I can't even bend them.
can't. And now we're going to test how strong they are. Okay, first 5 kilos. Easy. For handle it's nothing. And you already need to understand that this 5 kilos weighs more than my shield itself. Now I have 5 plus 5, it's already 10 kilos. Easy, super easy. It's already 15 kilos. The real shield weighs only 14, so it's 1 kilos more than a weight from a real shield. And it's 5 times more than weight of this shield, so yeah, it's like only one handle, no straps, no nothing. Easy. Now I have the same handle. As you can see, it's made from 3 parts: PETG, infill 60%, plywood, and 2 M8 bolts. This is my test stand, and now I'll try to hand on my handle. My weight about 90s, maybe with all this stuff, maybe 95 kilos, maybe even 100 kilos. So it's much more than weight of my shield. And I wanted to try, will it work or not? Let's do it. I'll put my phone here. And now it falls into my eyes. Okay. 3, 2, 1. No, it cannot handle my weight. It's broke. Now I decide to print them like this, so they should be more stronger. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Woo! 100 kilos! 100 kilos! 100! It can hand up 100 kilos. Just basic PG. Hand up 100 kilos. My shield weight only 3 kilos. Real shield weight 14 kilos. This handle, only one handle, can hand up 100 kilos. So it is enough for handling any. You can even make some super realistic shield. You can hand up on this shield and it probably will be okay with it. So yeah, cool. So yeah, if you or your friend have a 3D printer, you can easily print them and not worry at all about it. But where I can find all these files? The link's in the description, my friend. I've uploaded everything on Cools 3D, both the handles and the adjustment. Are they free? Yes! The price is open, so you can download them for free by setting the price to 0. But if you found this video useful and want to say thanks, you can set the price for a couple of dollars. That way you're supporting my channel and projects, like the shield or others I'm already working on. You'll also find lots of other models there. And soon, the kit that turns a Cyma Glock into a VANT-LM will be available too. Big thanks for everyone who decided to support me. Mwah! Also, the second best way to support me is like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. To finish up, I roped the handles in electrical tape, which makes them more comfortable to hold and copy the leather finish you'll also find on real shields. In the final steps, all that's left is to install the handles in place. To make sure the nuts don't loose over time, I apply a little Loctite and tighten them tightly. I made the hand straps using 50mm white webbing, the same kind used in backpacks. Each strap is made from 2 pieces of webbing and 1 adjuster. I glued velcro to both sides, so I could adjust and lock the length. Next I thought the smaller strap, third the adjuster. I make a hole and secure it with a bolt. I fold the end of the longer strap, glue it, make a hole in it and mount it in place. Then I pass it through the same adjuster and fix it. I repeat the same thing on the other side. All the nuts are secured with Loctite for reliability. The main body of the shield is now fully complete. Time to work on the apron. And honestly, this was the most annoying part. I had no idea how to even start making it. Why is there a pocket on the front that's not on the Vant-vm? And it's attached with Velcro? And how does it connect it to the top part? How long is the apron supposed to be? What's the best way to wrap it in fabric? I spent more time thinking about this than I did on the shield itself. In the end, I figured that the Velcro most likely covers a pocket for an additional armor plate. Again, I'm still not sure about that. I also solved the size and attachment issues. But the question remained, how do I actually build it? This part also didn't go perfectly. At first, I cut 3 10mm yoga mats and glued them together. Then I decided to cover them in fabric. I didn't want to overcomplicate it, so I just grabbed a piece of 600D Cordura and wrapped it around the apron. I made a cut on the front and glued the fabric down. I assumed the pocket would go in front and cover the messy seams, but I didn't think about the fact that the bottom part would still be visible. So I completely rebuilt the apron. I decided to cover it the same way I did the main shield. First I wrapped the sides, then I cut the front and back panels. On the back side I also made a hole. I cut another piece of fabric and glued it in place, leaving 2 tabs at the bottom. After threading this piece into the back section, I glued down the tabs. They hold it securely. I added Velcro to the top. Then I glued the front and back panels to the apron. It already looked solid, and I actually recommend you stop here, because next I decided to make that pocket. It was clearly visible in every photo, and I thought it stuck out in the front. But then, when I looked at it from the side, it turned out it doesn't really stick out at all. And honestly, it's not even clear why it's there.
But I decided to make it anyway, because I'm idiot.
I cut the pocket out of a yoga mat, then I wrapped it in fabric. The backside won't be visible anyway. Around the same time, I realized that you can iron the fabric before attaching it. That really improves how it looks. So I ironed all the fabric on the apron, and on the shield too. I got rid of that ugly crease that was there before. Just be careful not to melt the rubber underneath the fabric. I glued the pocket in place. All that's left is the decorator part. I glued on some Velcro strips I had left over from the main build. Then I cut out a fabric strip for the top and glued Velcro on that too. I glued it on above the pocket, and the pocket is done. You can even open it. Thought honestly, I have no idea why you'd want to.
Скупщику все продам и заживем.
Now we install the apron. To do that, just pull apart the Velcro on the main panel and attach the apron in place. One last detail, just like I did with Vant-vm, I wanted to add the original Ford logo and markings, so I found a few high-quality reference photos. It wasn't easy. I cleaned them up so they could be printed on an A4 paper and glued onto the shield. I printed them on thick paper. I also marked where each one should go. Then I cut them out and attached them to the shield using double-sided tape. Of course, nothing's ever perfect. One of the markings ended up right where my arm rests, so I think it'll wear off pretty quickly. And that's how the Vant-LM come to be. It weighed only 3 kilos, it looks close to the real thing, but it has markings, Velcro and even a similar apron. While working on this video, I was surprised to find that there are replicas of the shield being sold by NPO AG. You can compare mine, the one from NPO AG, and the real ballistic shield for yourself. What would I change? Instead of using glue, I just take the fabric to a sewing services. I'd also make the main body in two parts, like the Vant-vm, and attach the fabric edges from the inside. I wouldn't add the pocket to the apron, and maybe I wouldn't even make it removable at all.
Do I like this shield? Of course I do!
It lets me move fast and surprise opponents. I can squeeze through narrow windows, something that wasn't possible with the Vant-vm. I can use it to approach enemies from the most unexpected angles, and I can still use my weapon properly, which puts me and the enemy on equal footing. He can hit me and I can hit him. If I hang it on a sling, I can throw it over my back to make it easier to use my primary weapon, and then grab it again before the attack.
And now I have a shield. I didn't have a shield and now I have a shield.
It also protects most of my body, and I'm tall, so for shorter players it'll offer even better coverage. If you stand upright, your arms, legs and head are still exposed. If you crouch, only your head is visible. And if you crouch all the way down and tuck your head in, the shield fully covers you. This is especially useful on staircases, where the angle makes the shield cover even more of your body. Now about tactics. At first I thought the shield would let me play solo, but I was wrong. A person with a lightweight mobile shield depends less on the team, but still depends on them. The simple truth is your weapon will probably be weaker. I'm not allowed to use lasers, and it's uncomfortable to use a flashlight, so hitting the enemy is much harder. I discovered that playing in a team is far more effective after playing both alone and with others. Even with a small shield, a player can breach enemy defense like a moving target. They shouldn't be afraid to rush into a room and risk being shot into the face a dozen times. A shield user with a small shield can just walk slowly while fully hiding behind it. Their goal is to rush the enemy with the team behind them. Take out the first guy, then the second. The third one takes you down, but your team has already entered and is able to continue without you. I found that to be the most efficient way to play. Also, your team must always stay right behind you. You can't split up, you need to move like a train.
A small and light shield makes you less dependent on your team, and you can attack alone. But it's much more fun to attack with your friends.
I thought playing alone is difficult, at least it is possible. Playing solo with the Vant-vm by my rules is just impossible. You simply can't shoot, so your usefulness is reduced to being a punching bag.
But a small shield still doesn't make you invincible.
For example, one enemy just kept running away every time I rushed him. Eventually, he flanked me and took me out from the side.
Dostałem? W końcu!
Even with a team, you still need to know how to play. Know where to attack, how to lead your enemies, how to take good positions, and how to feel the flow of the team.
That's cheating! Your shield is too light! Light shields should be banned! All shields must weigh like the real thing!
But you're playing with an HPA high kappa using M4 Max, no plate carrier, a speedsoft mask instead of goggles with helmet. All your gear weighs less than my shield. So why can you play effectively and I can't?
It's still cheating! Shield players shouldn't use guns! Their shields should weigh the same as real ones! All shield users never call their hits, and they're all cheaters! They should all be banned!
My performance didn't suddenly become better. My shield still has weight. It's realistically sized and it's not transparent. A shield like this is still useless in open terrain and not easy to use. It depends on the field and the game rules. I just move up from completely useless with Vant-vm to my usual average level of efficiency. I still got shot. A lot. Shield equals cheat? That's ridiculous. In the end, it depends on the player, not the gear they use. There are just as many cheaters using regular airsoft guns as there are using shields. If you really want to talk fairness, then grab a realistic AK that weighs nearly 4 kilos. Load your max with only 30 BBs. Put on a 10 kg plate carrier and a 4 kg Altin helmet. I'll wear real heavy gear too, and I'll gladly carry a full weight shield. But then I should also be able to use my weapon properly, and the shield should protect against grenade blasts. Because in real life, a ballistic shield that stops SVD bullets can also protect you from a grenade in front of you. That would be realistic and fair. But until then, let's both just use what we like and what's fun to play with.
There definitely will be people under this video saying this shield is cheat, and there will be others who want to build one only because they think it will give them some cheat opportunities.
To the first group, I'll say this. I play regular airsoft games on Sundays at CQB, where nobody cares about gear weight or appearance. Everyone plays in whatever works and whatever makes them effective. My rules make using heavy shields pointless anyway. So when I join a milsim game where everyone plays under equal conditions, I'll be happy to try playing with a full weight replica of the shield. But for now, I just wanted to enjoy playing airsoft. Also, my back and joints will thank me when I'm older if I keep using a lightweight shield. Because running around for half a day with 14 kg shield plus gear isn't healthy. And to the second group, if your goal is to be hated by the entire field for being way too effective, then this shield is actually a bad choice. Just buy some gas grenades and clear rooms without any risk of getting shot. Or get yourself a short Saiga, convert it to HPA, and you've got a mini BFG. A shield? That's a bad choice. I forgot to say that under a shield I mean a replica of a real ballistic shield, not transparent and with realistic dimensions. Riot shields are cheating and I hate of them. Because of them other people think that all shields are cheating and afraid of them. So make a good replica of a real ballistic shields to show other people that shields are cool.
How much the VANT-LM cost? Let's calculate together.
MDF board $4, 2 yoga mats $15, Cordura 600D $9, Red Cordura 600D $4, webbing $1, Velcro around $6, M8 bolts and nuts $3, glue $41, handles plastic price $7, other small items $41. Well, we get a price of about $130, plus delivery, let's say $30, and the price is $160. Considering that you will make mistakes, like me, you will buy too much somewhere, overpay somewhere, then the real price is about $170, $200. By the way, mine cost about $200. I also don't count the cost of the tool that I used, for example a 3D printer, but it's still cheaper than what you can buy in the store. I think you can make such a shield for $100, but you'll have to economize a bit. Also consider the time it took me to build it. I spent about a month making the shield. What I'm wasting my life on. In the end, building the VANT-LM is sometimes more complicated than the Vant-vm. The body is harder to make, but the handles are easier, and you don't need to make a visor.
VANT-LM works better for CQB games with my rules. With different rules or on other field it might be useless, but for me it works better than the Vant-vm.
So yeah, the Vant-LM is a great alternative to a standard large shields. Maybe this video will inspire someone to build their own small, lightweight shield. Maybe not even Vant-LM, maybe something else. For example, I'd love to build other compact shields like the BZT-75 or the Buckler. And your subscription and like will show me that you are interested in this topic and want more videos like this. People already subscribed to my channel have seen polls where I ask what I should build next. And yep, once again you voted for the Vant-vm in the most boring color. Why does nobody want the Fackel KF or the Buckler? Also subscribe to my Instagram if you want to see current news and my stupid videos. And it was Asa, channel about Airsoft. Good luck!